County Fairgrounds and Cool K here. Do I have the infamous MarkPresley-Magician on the line with me?
Oh, yeah.
Are you infamous?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Do you only work in Illinois?
For right now, yeah.
In the Fox Valley area?
Yeah.
But that's okay. How long have you been a magician?
Oh, geez. Well, I got into magic about six years old.
Okay.
And, my dad he took me to a magic shop. It was in Chicago. I believe it was Magic Inc. at the time. And I remember, I don't have too many memories of my dad because, he was always either working or at the bar. he liked his drinks, So I remember bits and pieces, but I remember the one time he took me to a magic shop. It's kind of shadowy, kind of blurry. I remember little bits and pieces, but I remember going in. They had a glass display case, and he said you could pick anything from there. And I picked. They had this like gag lighter. I don't know if you ever seen it, like a trick gag lighter, and when you go to strike it, a spring snake jumps out. and out of all the things, that's what I selected, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. So I selected that, and I kind of remember in the magic shop they had, colorful items all around, and I would do like these little card tricks. I remember, as a kid, and then I never grew out of it. That was it.
Wow. So have you ever done anything else for a living?
Oh, yeah, lots of jobs. Man of many trades and an expert at nothing.
Hey,
no.
Magic is fun, isn't it?
It is. A lot of the jobs that I had, they were just jobs. I don't think I really ever had a job that I just put my heart and soul in, and I had, a lot, just into it. Except my last job, I kind of like that one. I was a mail carrier at a college for 23 years, so I delivered the mail.
Okay.
And I liked that job until my boss retired, and then they had these two other clowns take over, and it just became a micro-managing, narcissistic, just toxic environment. And then that's when I decided to leave that job, and I pursued my magic, and now I'm doing my magic full time.
And where do you perform at primarily? Can you give me some ideas?
I primarily work right now at restaurants in the northwest suburbs. I used to do a very famous restaurant in Chicago called O'Donovan's, but it actually used to be called Shulian's. And Shulian's was a famous restaurant magicians would go to back in the day. We're talking all the way back to like maybe 1920s or so, 1920s, 40s. I don't know the exact date, but the owner, Mr. Schulian, who's a German man, and he loved magic. And while guests were waiting for their food, he'd go around do magic. Well, eventually he started having other magicians come in, like Blackstone and Marshall Brodeen and things like that. So to this day, there's people that go there, and they're like, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I used to come here, and, it was Schulian's, and they used to do magic. So I'm really happy and proud that I have that behind my belt as for experience.
Well, Mark, Mark, where would you like to perform that you haven't had the opportunity? Because it sounds to me like you're having a good time.
Well, the thing is a lot of magicians would love to go to Vegas. That's like the ultimate thing,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's not really my lifestyle. I guess you could perform there and not get caught up in all the bells and whistles, But, I think Magic Castle would be cool. I performed at the Chicago Magic Lounge once. Okay. So I think that was a fun place. Well, I think ideally what I would love to do is have a venue, my own venue, where people could come and see me. I'd like to have a nice family show or adult show. And when I say adult show, I'm not really talking about raunchy or anything, but just a little bit more magic that's not geared to kids. Like the spike illusion or something like that. Where a kid isn't going to run home and slam his hand over a sharp object.
Oh well, the kids I'm sure love you. So do you do your own bookings?
Yeah, and if I could back up a moment here, so with the restaurants, because I'm working 5 restaurants now in the northwest suburbs. Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, yeah, and so I have a deep background in history of restaurants. When I was about 15 years old, I at one time lived in Chicago, and we ended up moving out in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid, 15 years old, I was into magic, of course at that time, and I wanted to get a job doing magic somewhere. So for some reason, there was this like Chinese restaurant, and I decided to walk in there one day, and I told them what I do, and I do magic and walk around the tables. So they loved it. They loved the idea. I don't even remember if I got paid. If anything, I might have gotten like $20 and a free meal. But the nice thing was I was
cool.
the nice thing is I was getting tips, and I was getting Chinese food. I love Chinese food. Well, I mean, that's awesome. So when I left my full-time job, before I did that, I knew that, I wanted to get some more restaurants. I already had one that I've been at for like almost 30 years, Barnaby's Restaurant in Arlington Heights. I'm there like every Friday, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So a lot of my restaurants I simply got from calling restaurants one after another.
Mm-hmm.
I'd set a goal where I would have like 50 restaurants that I want to call for that week. So maybe once a day, out of those 50 restaurants, I'd call maybe 5 of them a day or something like that. And eventually, I would hit one. Well, I hit one. I did more than hit one. The restaurant I finally got an actual person on the phone and talked to. He actually owns like 8 or 10 other restaurants. So I got 3 other restaurants out of just making phone calls and also walk-ins.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you're doing that, and it makes people happy, and making people happy I believe in very much. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you making a living?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because not just from the restaurants, but I also do daycare centers, nursing homes.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, I'm doing birthday parties.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm keeping busy.
Are you married?
Yes, I am married. I have a lovely wife. She's supportive of my magic. She works at at Walgreens. Yeah, matter of fact, she just got a certificate the other day for being recognized as a number 1 employee customer service. So that's cool.
Well, Miss Cool K here. I'm originally from that area. I grew up and was raised in Round Lake Beach.
Oh yeah, that's where Jim Summers used to be. He was an illusion builder.
Okay.
And I used to go there quite often because I'd have things built. He passed away, God bless his soul, but very talented guy. And just super guy. A lot of knowledge I learned from him.
So would you advise someone who's interested in magic if they can go about doing it the way that you've done it?
I think for a lot of people, there's different scenarios, different situations. Basically, my suggestion is if you're going to do it, just make sure that you think it out, because there's a lot more to just going out and performing. I mean, I have to pay taxes quarterly. magic insurance. I just
Yeah.
had to buy magic insurance because one of my daycares, they wanted me to produce a certificate of insurance, or else I'm not going to be able to perform there. So I had to get $1 million in insurance, and I found a place that does insurance. I think it cost me like $150, so that was affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds to me like you're doing what you want to do and you're making people happy, and that's important in life.
Oh yeah. And sometimes it takes a while to get to that stepping stone. For example, there was years ago, I had a small cleaning business and I was doing restaurants, and I would use that as extra income to make my money for magic, to invest in magic tricks and things. Well, one night, some guys decided to rob the place. And I was there at like 2 a.m. cleaning, and I went to open up one of the doors to clean the other side of the entrance door glass, and all of a sudden 4 robbers came rushing at me and charged me and said, "Get on the floor!" And they're holding, weapons at me. And I swear, life flashed before my eyes. If in movies they kind of depict, like, you see little scenes of like family and friends and things like that. That's how it was in real life. I thought, oh boy, this is it. And they asked me where the safe is, and they tied my hands up to the footrest at a bar. They usually have footrests. And they put these like riot cuffs on me, and they went to work on the safe, and it was like I said, 4 guys there, and these guys were really sophisticated. I mean, they're wearing all black. They had like Motorola radios, and they're communicating that way. And they asked me where the safe is, and they went to work on the safe. And one guy kind of stood about 10 feet in front of me, stooped down, just eyeing me with his a tire iron behind his back. And while these guys went to work on the safe, and it's crazy because these guys were having a problem opening the safe, so they asked the other guy for help. So he goes to help some, and now I'm by myself, handcuffed to a bar footrest.
But they didn't know they didn't know you were a magician, and you got loose, right?
Yeah. So, this was back in mid 1990s. So, is it okay if I go a little bit more into the story? Do you have time for that?
No, don't make it too long. We can't be here forever.
Yeah. No, I understand. But basically, they went to work on the safe, and while they worked on the safe, I actually got out, my hand out. I slipped it out, but then I heard somebody coming. I saw a shadow coming, and I jammed my hand back, and meanwhile, now it's bleeding. So I had to distract them, and I covered the floor up with my foot because there was a drop of blood, and I'm like, "Hey, can you get me a drink or something?" And it was very accommodating criminal. He got me a drink. He went back to work on the safe, and as soon as he left, I got out of there and I ran my ass off. And and so how I was able to escape, though, really quick is when I was about 10 years old, I checked out a book at the library. It was a book on Houdini's greatest escapes.
Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, and one of the things that he was explaining in the book on how to do is when you're getting tied up, you kind of expand your wrists, so that way when they tie you and you let loose, there's now some wiggle room in there. And that's exactly what I did. So when this all happened, all of a sudden I had a flashback of that book, and my instincts just went in, and that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you magicians are very, very tricky, dear.
Yeah, right. And I gave a detailed description of these guys to the FBI, and they ended up catching them like 3 weeks later. They were just hitting all these restaurants in the area. But I remember that day because I had to stay there at the restaurant after this happened because they were questioning me and all that. Of course, they try to put you as a suspect, and they have to rule that out. And but yeah, they didn't know who they were messing with that day. And I remember when I finally got released to go home, I looked up into the sky and I'm like, thank you, God, because I really thought that was it. Yeah.
Well, you magicians are very tricky, like I said. I've enjoyed talking to you. If you're going to are you doing your own bookings? Do you want people to call you?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep.
Well, leave a number. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can reach me at 224-318-8058, and my website is mark-presley-magic.com.
Thank you, Mark. We'll get this up, and maybe you'll get some bookings here. But I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Hey, me too. Good luck with everything. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.